celebration of Black History Month here at the GFA. We've got a number of guests who are going to talk about their journeys within football over the next hour or so, and obviously there'll be an opportunity for you to ask questions if you wish of each of the guests, and equally so at the end. We are going to record the session, so hopefully that's okay with everybody, and it will be available then on our YouTube channel and through our social media links. Jack will be sending out information on a white sheet as well afterwards in terms of contacts, etc., for any follow-up that anybody wishes to have. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Mo Patel, one of the GFA board members now, to introduce the evening and also talk a little bit about our inclusion advisory group. Over to you, Mo.
Good evening all. I hope all is well. First of all, it's lovely to see so many faces from around the country as well as our county to join us for a celebration evening. And it is really a celebration. It's a celebration of Black History Month, which is just a month in which it's reinvigorating the messages and reinforcing the messages for the whole year, because this isn't just for a month. This is a continuous project and a continuous celebration of recognizing the greats that have come and the ongoing and continuing work we're doing around diversity and inclusion in our game. And I welcome you all to that. And yeah, it is our second year online, and fingers crossed next year it will be in person. So just the brief around Inclusion Advisory Group. So with the Gloucestershire FA, obviously we're dedicated to making the game as accessible and inclusive as possible at all levels of the game, and that's very important. And I think that's reflected on the guests we have today. The guests we have come from all aspects of the game, whether it's playing, coaching, refereeing, administrative roles, senior officer roles, as well as physio, media, etc. And that's very important. And an Inclusion Advisory Group, it's simply a critical friend to the County FA to support their strategic kind of values around inclusion. And I think over the last 3-4 years that I've been involved in, we've had some very good successes, very milestones where we've had supporting coaches onto pathways, increasing the number of coaches north and south of the county. And also we had workshops for referees, again, so black, minority, ethnic, and from every kind of protected characteristics strand, having people involved in refereeing, etc., in the game. So the Inclusion Advisory Group, they meet quarterly, and they meet with the officers of the county, and they discuss strategies of how we can grow the game. And it's a project which has infused myself and those in our county as well, and give myself and others on this court a pathway on sort of directive in the board as well, which has been brilliant. So yeah, I encourage each and every one of those in our county on this court to get involved with, for example, the IAG. We're always looking for dynamic people, volunteers, who make this game such a success, and we're always looking for new, fresh ideas of how we can make the game accessible so no one feels excluded, because there should be no barriers. And that's what my vision, our county's vision, and football's vision is, that there are no barriers for anybody to engage and to participate in the game. So hopefully you enjoyed the evening. I'm so pleased to see the guests that we have, guests that I've got to know better and better over the last 3 years. Steve, for example, Lawrence, Lawrence Locke, for example, has been working with us over the past year or so, and he's really worked within our coaching network, CPD events for those for inclusion in our county, and it's really helped, and the feedback has been brilliant, and it's sort of inspired many other coaches to take on more level courses, which is excellent. And like that, having Roger and having the referee expertise, we're hopefully going to plan to do a workshop around refereeing, which is then going to encourage more. And also a bit of we did plan to have a north and south kind of partnership work with Bristol Central, so two of the most diverse clubs, one Rising Stars in the city of Gloucester, and one in the city of Bristol Central. So hopefully that's in the pipeline. Hopefully Corona won't stop us. for making that happen. But yeah, welcome all and enjoy the evening.
Thanks very much, Mo. Has anyone got any questions they'd like to ask of Mo before we hand over to our next guest? Any questions coming up? Any hands up? Can't see any at the moment. In which case, I'm going to hand over now to Errol Thompson. Errol is again another member of our inclusion advisory group. Also recently joined the main board here at the GFA as well. And Errol's going to talk a little bit about some of the work he's doing within Central Bristol. So I'm going to hand over to you, Errol. All yours. Thank you. You're muted at the moment, Errol. Sorry, mate, you're muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we got you now. Thank you.
Okay. Good evening, all. As Roger said, my name is Errol Thompson. I have been involved with local football for a good many years, over 40 years. I expect you would have seen me or heard of me over those years. Most of the time I spent with Lebeck, a very prominent football club. More so on a Sunday, which were very dominant for years. But you wouldn't see me running around. You might see me playing, but most of the time I'm behind the scenes doing the admin stuff. That's the stuff that a lot of people don't like doing. As Mo was saying, basically what we want to do is try and get everybody included in every aspect of the game to participate. And we don't want to see anyone marginalized. So we are trying to encourage everybody to just do as much as they can to be involved. I've been involved with the IAG since 2015 at the start. And as Mo said, there's been quite a few projects which have been very successful. Now, I've been trying to push walk-in football. I noticed a while back that a lot of guys who play football, once they reach sort of 40, 45-ish, they might get involved with what you call veterans football, or you might have veteran tournaments, which we do once a year. But most of the time, when you just turn up and play a tournament, I found a lot of players getting injured. So they stopped playing, and they stopped playing completely. Now, for me, I mean, a lot of people sort of lost their way and became inactive completely. So I thought about the walk-in football because it's not as strenuous as running. But I have spoken to people prior to setting up the football that I'm doing now. But first of all, I'll tell you, a lot of people, when you say about walk-in football, they think it's for older people. But there's different levels of walk-in football. Now, as I said, what I've done, because a lot of people have done nothing, especially over this period where we've been locked down due to COVID, a lot of people have become inactive. And I've been approached, or was approached over that period by a number of organizations because I've brought it forward, walk-in football. And I mean, a lot of people, how do I put it? They didn't do anything. I mean, the lockdown has been a real problem for people's mental well-being, physical well-being, and just general apathy, I suppose. Anyway, I got contacted in March this year by a number of groups and asking about working together to set up some sort of walking football, as the FA is pushing that agenda. They're trying to get people, older people, more active. Now, I started one with Bristol Walking Football Club, Keith Gwillam, who approached me back in May this year. And we chose Sunday to play, but what I'd done was contacted players, or put a poster out for players that have been inactive for a number of years. And when we initially started, we had a lot of players here, and people are thinking it's going to be easy walking apart. But when you come and play, it's totally different. It is quite physical, quite demanding. But if you've played football before, it is very enjoyable. So we started playing in June. It's now October, and we've still got a group running on a Sunday, which we've got over 30 members. Not everybody turns up on a Sunday because you'll have injuries and all that sort of stuff. So in between times, because of walking football, if you've played football before, then you'll be more aware of the game, and it's easier to get involved. There's people who haven't been playing, have been inactive for years. So what I've done was set up another walking football group, but that was for Tuesday afternoons for people who have retired and don't get out to exercise, and Thursday evenings, which is where I am now. And the Tuesday and Thursday football is more about encouraging people to actually get involved. So it's not so much the game, it's getting people ready to play the game. So we've had ladies, and we've had people from the age of 50 to 70. We've had, what I've found out, to be quite honest, is there's a lot of people that are unwell, or when you reach that age, over 50, have had medical conditions. So we've had people here who are recovering from stroke, cancers, and all other ailments that you could think of for people that are that age. So on the Tuesday and Thursday, what we're doing is actually monitoring them. So we take their pulses, we give them a pedometer to see how many steps they take, and we check their pulses and everything at the end of the game or at the end of the session, because sometimes you don't have a game. I have a small 5-minute game, but it's more about exercising and using the football as a way to get people active. That started in October, and that will be ongoing now until March next year. I think I probably ought to stop to say, does anyone want to ask any questions about it? Did you hear me?
We can hear you, Errol. Yeah.
Errol, can I ask,
Yeah.
please?
Yeah,
How
sure.
did you go about generating the interest to get people to come down to the various different sessions?
Well, to be quite honest, that is the most difficult part, because we've had this discussion in the IAG meetings, and I basically went out around the community and put up posters and talked to people and sent out emails and literally just showed my face. And when I spoke to Keith, who's already running one in Horfield, he rang me on the day before we started a Sunday group, and he said he hasn't got very many people coming. I said, don't worry, there'll be people there. On the first day, we had 20 people turn up. And from there, we've continued to grow the numbers. And as I said, we've got over 30 people attending. On the Tuesdays and Thursdays, we've got 20 people plus on there as well. But as I said, that is more for people who are recovering, who wants to play football or want to get back into football. So that's sort of a gentle, we've got a qualified coach as well. And that's just a gentle exercise with the ball, you know, the normal training stuff. You might walk with the ball, pass the ball around, and then we might have sort of couple of small matches, small goal where you 3 touches just to get people used to the ball again, basically. All right.
Yes, thank you.
Is there anybody else?
Anybody else got any questions for Errol?
Hi, Errol. Yeah, we've got a question here. We just wanted to know, I guess the theme of the night and of the month, really. What does Black History Month mean to you?
To me, I mean, Black History Month at the moment is just highlighting, as Mo touched on, what people in the community, not just your stars that have been in football, I'm talking about like John Barnes and Ian Wright and stuff like that. For me, it's about people in the community working to get people engaged, all ages, and in playing football, and try to get sort of cohesion between the age groups, because there doesn't seem to be a lot of that within the community, and that could be because of monetary reasons. It could be there's a lot of reasons for it, but for me, it's all about getting everybody together to recognize that things are there for them and they can get involved with stuff.
Thank you, Errol.
Has anybody got any questions for Errol about the work he's doing in walking football, or any of his involvement in the IAG, the board, etc.?
So again, if I may, Roger.
All yours to
Errol, what will success look like, and how will you make it sustainable?
Right. Well, the Sunday team is already sustainable. The Thursday and Tuesday are funded, so that's free, because we're actually trying to encourage people, and the outcomes are going to be, will people improve their physicality? I mean, there's a lot of medical conditions within the Black community. Once you hit sort of 50, you got diabetes, high blood pressure, hypertension, and you've also got cancer, right? Now, the Tuesday and Thursday came about because I'm involved with a cancer project myself. We've got a CIC going, and that's to do with prostate cancer, because that is, I don't know if anybody knows, but it's a big killer. It's the highest cancer deaths next to breast cancer. I think it's overtaken breast cancer in the UK. 11,500 people, or men, died from prostate cancer. Now, unfortunately, the statistics for prostate cancer is 1 in 8 men all men, that's right across the ethnic board, all men, 1 in 8 will get prostate cancer. 1 in 4 of all black men will get it. That's the statistics. So it is a killer. So the reason why I got involved with the Tuesday and Thursday was to bring people in. That's why I said there's lots of lot of the guys who turn up for that have got all those things that I said: diabetes, they've got prostate cancer, and it's not just black men. This is for everybody, because we've got a few white guys there who are involved, and they've had prostate cancer as well. And it's a bit of a forum, so we could sit down, have a chat, have a little social before and after the game. And I mean, that's what drew me to it. And I was approached because of my involvement with the prostate cancer CIC that I would deal with.
Thanks, Errol. Mo, did you have your hand up?
To be honest, Errol just answered it right there.
Right. Okay.
Like I said, the increase in diabetes, especially in the BAME communities and the black communities, is, you know, statistically very high, which was, you know, evidently exposed by the coronavirus as well. So, first of all, thank you, Errol, for everything you're doing, because I think it's making a massive difference. And I think having yourself as an example in the county, this is what we're celebrating. People like yourself from these communities making a difference. So, thanks, mate.
What
Thanks,
I could say, sorry, go on.
No, Karen, sorry, Errol. I was just thanking Mo. Go, Karen. All yours.
For me?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, what I was going to say is, I mean, it's, it might seem a bit disjointed because I've come in late to make this presentation. And as I said, I'm waiting to actually start a session now in about 10 minutes. So if it seems a bit disjointed, oh, my coach has just turned up. Okay.
This is real, Errol. This is real.
This is real, like, yeah. So I might have to go shortly. If there's any questions, feel free. But Suzette, to go back to your question, we're hoping to be able to get some sort of data on changes in people through activity. I mean, if it's even just a plain weight loss or just mobility. And we have noticed already some of the guys who are suffering from stroke or has had stroke or stroke victims have they've changed dramatically. And I'm talking about 4 weeks. There's been a massive change.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it is not just a physical, it is the mental aspect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it'd be really helpful to keep that data, Errol, for us to be able to demonstrate the difference that's been made. I endorse the comments that have been made by Mo about, you know, your leadership in that community and the contribution that you're making to both make people feel fitter and healthier, but also to help cohesion, which, you know, is hugely important. So well done to you.
Could I just say before we go, we're hoping to have a small mini tournament in February with all the people that are participating in the football here.
Yeah.
So I will let you know when that becomes, when we've got a definite date. Okay.
Thanks, Errol. Excellent. Enjoy the session tonight. Hope it goes well. Okay.
You do. Thank you.
Care. Cheers.
Bye for now. Cheers.
Thank you. Okay. I know you're not next on, Lawrence, but you did you have something you wanted to say as well at this point before I hand over formally to you for your session?
Yeah, I don't know if Errol's still on, but he talked about having a qualified coach, and I didn't know if there's anything that I could link in with around my work, but it could be something that I can reach out to Errol about. But yeah, hopefully one day when I get to 50, I'll be going to Errol's walking football sessions.
Thank you, Lawrence. And I think that, you know, that's something we can certainly pick up outside of tonight, and you know, put you in touch with Errol, and we'll go from there. But thanks very much for that. Appreciate it. Okay, so very timely, Lawrence. I'm going to hand over to you now. Lawrence from the FA is going to talk about England football learning and his involvement in as coach development officer for diversity and inclusion within the Southwest. All over to you, Lawrence. Thanks again.
Brilliant. Thank you. Yeah, again, this is the second time I've delivered on this. So this time last year, I know Steve's on the call. Me and Steve delivered something last year, but I think a year on, it'll be nice for me just to kind of share what me and Mo have been doing in and around the county. I know Mo alluded to some of it, but I think this time last year I'd never been in the county. I hadn't even been to Gloucestershire. So in terms of the support that Mo's given me in my role has been fantastic, and to see coaches from Rising Stars coaching football on a Sunday, and even having some mentor support when we ran the pilot has been really inspiring to see coaches do the Playmaker Award and then move into the introduction to coaching. And hopefully, as I talk through the coaching pathway later on, we'll have some coaches from Rising Stars continue their journey. So thank you for having me. My name's Lawrence Locke and I'm the Coach Development Officer for the Southwest region. And my remit is around diversity and inclusion. So really targeting coaches from ethnically diverse backgrounds to really inspire them and help them in their coaching journey, whether it be to make it as a profession, as a full-time job or a role, or even just to work in the community to make football an opportunity for all the children, boys and girls that they work with. So really, just like I said, it's the second time I've done it, and hopefully, next year we can continue this face to face. But for me and for our team, Black History Month doesn't just stop in October. It's something that we want to continue throughout the year. And one of the things that probably one of Steve Smithy's legacies around Black History Month 365, and this is something that we're going to continue working on throughout the year. So as a coach development team, our purpose is it's to identify, recruit, develop and deploy a more diverse coaching workforce throughout the game, whether it be in grassroots football, walking football, a Wildcat Centre, or even for academy coaches trying to get into the professional game, whether it be through an RTC or Boys Academy football. But our role is to have a pipeline of coaches from grassroots all the way into the professional game. And this is just us as a team. So we're a team of 8 with our national lead that work across the country. So hopefully there's someone across the country that can help on various projects. And my remit is to kind of cover. So I'm based in Barts and Bucks, and I work all the way down to Cornwall, up to Oxfordshire and Gloucestershire. So quite a big region, but hopefully I can share some of the projects that we're trying to launch this month, but also the project that I'm already doing with Mo at Rising Stars. So the key thing for us is in grassroots is getting children to fall in love with the game, or even adults to fall in love with the game. So that was me. I found this picture. Well, my mum came down to see me last month and she brought this picture down, but I thought this is where I first fell in love with football. And that was me at 11. That was the first time I played for an actual football team. So, I'm smiling there. Not for me, it's about recreating those moments for the children that we work with. So fast forward that, and that's one of the projects that I run just outside Barts and Bucks, and it's another project that I'm running. But for me, it's about finding these projects and finding these communities that we can go and serve and support. And just really quickly around the coaching pathway. So this time last year, we launched the BT Playmaker, and at the moment we've had, coaches go through that, and it's an online course. And then we also launched the Introduction to Coaching Football Award. So they're 2 courses that are ran online. Coaches, they go through that at their own time and their own speed. And it's not necessarily how the coaching badges used to work, where coaches would have to give up 4 weekends, evenings to go and get qualified. This is something that they can do online, and they can do at their own pace. So it's not like, you can only do the webinar or you can only do the online modules at a certain time. It's all geared around your own work commitments away from football. In March 2022, we'll be launching the UEFA C, which will take over and will take over the level 2. So it doesn't replicate the award, but it allows coaches to have that UEFA C license to go and continue coaching. And then should coaches want to continue, there's the UEFA B and the UEFA A license. So they'll be delivered face to face, whereas the BT Playmaker and the Introduction to Coaching will be delivered online. So just as an update, we've had from Rising Stars, coaches complete the Playmaker. We've had a couple do the Introduction to Coaching, and we managed to get that at a reduced cost. And then moving forward, we've got some fully funded places for Rising Stars for the coaches from there. But then I've got some other fully funded places for other projects potentially as we move forward. So this is the one thing that I want to try and talk to everyone about tonight around a diversity and inclusion coach development network. So the purpose of the network is really to identify Black and Asian coaches from the county to recruit and deploy into grassroots football. So, you know, when you talk to clubs, when you talk to grassroots clubs, it's, oh, we need more coaches. So the whole point of this network is to really go and identify those coaches. And once we've done that, it's around creating a community of practice where, for me, is to support and develop these coaches in their development. And this will be done through, you know, webinars. It'll be done through one-to-one support. It'll be done through me coming out and working with the coaches on the ground. And whilst we've got that, we'll then look at how we can sustain and retain through bespoke CPD and mentoring through my role or the coach mentor that we're trying to recruit into next year. So for any coaches that do want to attend or want to get involved in this, it's around building a network where they can talk to each other, share good practice from their own environments, and then it's allowing them to network with other like-minded coaches and help develop their players as well. And then what's really exciting moving forward is around giving these coaches that want to potentially move through the game into kind of paid positions or move into, you know, where they can say this is my full-time job, is to try and get them some support visits into professional clubs and also getting external speakers and presenters to, one, inspire them. So it's not just me talking at them all the time, but looking at what other roles there are in football. And I think that's where we can start really changing what the game looks like as we move forward. And then just as we, you know, run briefly towards the end of it, the next steps is that following this webinar, I'll speak to, it'll probably be Richard Todd, around creating a link which will get sent out to you. And if you can share that with your networks, and then in November, we'll look at how we can get everyone together via a Teams call and then look at some face-to-face meets as we move forward. So at the moment, it's getting ourselves out there, letting people know what this coach development group is and how they can get some benefit from it, and then looking at how I can show that visibility in the county and working with them, not just kind of on the one-off, but having a clear structure and a clear plan of their development as we move forward. And then just linking back, I think that bottom picture on the left, it's Mo's Club, it's down at Rising Stars, and it just shows like the amount of kids that go down there. And I remember going for the first time, I was like, this is unbelievable, the amount of kids that are coming on a Sunday morning. I think there must have been anything from, you know, 80 to 100 kids that morning, and it was all run by volunteers. And my role is to help those volunteers get better, whether it be through formal education or informal stuff, but just giving them someone that they can speak to whenever they need. And that's something that we'll look to pick up as we move forward. And then just to finalise, we've been launched our Black History Month national webinars, and this is just our last one. So we've got Chris Powell, Paul Nevin and Michael Johnson talking about their roles within FA and within the England team, what it was like playing for England. And yeah, again, the link will be sent out via after this with the slides as well. So I'll stop there. I was conscious of not talking for too long, but hopefully that gives you a snapshot of what we've been doing in the county since last year and kind of how we're moving it into the next stage around the coach development support from the FA. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Lawrence. Has anyone got any questions for Lawrence about that presentation and all the work that he's involved in and going to get involved in going forward? You stunned them into silence, Lawrence, with all that fantastic information, that update.
Roger, can I ask a question?
Yes, is that?
So Lawrence, I think we met last year. I'm the chair of the IAG for GFA. If there was one thing that GFA, or one additional thing that GFA could do, what would you identify that as being?
I think the key thing is around trying to identify the coaches. We're a relatively new team, so we formed September 2020. So, we've been going for 13 months. My previous role wasn't in this region. My previous role was in London and the south, like in and around like the M25. So at the moment, I don't really know many people. So all the contacts and all the coaches I've worked with are through Mo. I think how we can work closer and more smarter is identifying the coaches where, if you're running courses or if you're running, what's good is that we'll be delivering CPD events within the county. So I delivered one last month and I picked up a coach. He coaches locally in Gloucestershire, and he said, look, I need some support. So I've had 2 phone calls with him just to give him some support around his development. And I think as we get more visible in the county, which we will, that'll help me. But I think if you know coaches that would love this support, then, just signpost them to me, share the link, and we'll be able to create a network. And it's not necessarily getting, saying, oh, we've got 50 coaches in this network. It might be having 10 coaches that really want this support, and the bespokeness is there then.
Okay, great. Thanks very much. Thank you.
Thanks, Suzette. Thanks, Lawrence. Anybody else got any questions? We will obviously share the information as you suggested there, Lawrence, off the back of this, so that Rich can arrange that session going forward, and you can form the group, and as Suzette has alluded to, there's something that certainly we can work on in spreading the word as we go about our business. So thanks very much again. Okay. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to thank Lawrence once again for his presentation there and the update on what's been going on over the last year and as his role has evolved. I'm going to go now to hand over to somebody that I know pretty well. We're always sorting out referee appointments for Antoine and his academy at Cheltenham. So I'm going to hand over to Antoine Thompson now, academy manager at Cheltenham Town, to talk about his journey and his role as academy director. All yours, Antoine. Thank you. I think you're muted, mate. Sorry. Okay.
Hello. Yeah. Good evening. Can you hear me now? Yeah. Good. Yeah. No. Thanks, Roger. It's a pleasure to be here tonight. Obviously, I appreciate you inviting me on to speak to everybody. And just want to say, first of all, Errol and Lawrence, really some good work that you guys are doing, and just keep it up. Yeah. Really good. So yeah, I guess myself, who what I do is there is a slide. I don't know if Jackie's got it. Yeah, he's got it getting out. Nice one. Cheers. So yeah, what I do is I just talk a bit about myself. Then I go into sort of Black history and what it means to me, and then what I'm proud to be, and then yeah, open the floor for some questions. So yeah, I'm Antoine Thompson. You can fit the slide if you want. That's it. Yeah, I'm Antoine Thompson. I'm originally from the Surrey area, Epsom, just out of South London. 2 parents, Jamaican parents, so heritage. So yeah, that's that side of it. But then in terms of the football, I very much played county level as a youngster. Nothing special. Happened to represent Chelsea in the tournament. That was my highlight of my life. Playing for Chelsea, but didn't quite make it as a professional. But ultimately went on to do college football at Woking. Didn't quite work out there either. Didn't get a full-time contract or anything like that. So then decided to go to university, where I moved up to the area of Gloucester. Studied at Hartpury University. I did a sports coaching degree there. Then went on to do a master's in sports development at Gloucestershire Uni. So alongside that journey, I was working at Cheltenham Town Football Club, started in the community department, working in the schools, obviously working at the grassroots level, then went into the academy, working there. Lucky enough, the academy manager had done an appraisal with me and said, what did I want to be and what did I want to do? And I said, I want to do what you're doing, be an academy manager. And I remember the look, and I remember him saying, are you sure? Today I see why, and I know why. I used to have long hair at cane rows. I'm now bald. The work and what the job is, yeah, it takes its toll sometimes. But yeah, so yeah, he said that, and yeah, he couldn't believe that I said that. So yeah, he got me in voluntary, which I then obviously done my hard yards, learned experience, and haven't looked back since. And yeah, so yeah, as academy manager, as you can see there, just various sort of tick boxes for us, and as an academy, and some good successes there. You know, getting 100+ academy appearances is a big one for us, and the biggest ones is the staff moving on to have a sort of first team environments, and then also have Category 1 and 2 academies. The most recent one, biggest record for us, is obviously breaking the 25-year record, and having the youngest ever player to play for Cheltenham Town Football Club. So that's a massive achievement to everyone there. Other roles that I do outside of the working for football club, toughly on the grassroots, on the circuit, they'll see me around. I get myself down there. I work with under-7s, coaching there, and my boys down there as well. So obviously that helps. But offer advice to coaches in and around the environment as well, which is nice. I also do a bit of coaching with the first team, toughly, where I can attend games, assist there as well. I set up a men's club in Cheltenham, Generation Next. I'm a player as well as class of director of football. But this club was set up to, so the owner is from an Antigua background, and his dream was to provide Caribbean players an opportunity to come over here and experience English football. So from a Cheltenham perspective, it was, from our side of it, it was, we have a lot of college programs, a lot of boys that come out of the academies at 18s and don't actually go on to play football, or can't quite find a men's team. And I think that's where we come in, that we just provide that bit of a stopgap for them, get themselves some confidence to play men's football, and then yeah, progress up the levels to different levels of football, whatever that might be. So it was a win-win. So I think we've got five boys from the Caribbean. I think 2 from Antigua, 2 from Bermuda, I'm going to say. So which is quite nice. And then one of our, can't remember where he's from, but he's from the Caribbean islands. But they study at Hartpury, various other colleges in the area. So it's quite nice to give them that opportunity to play football. Yeah, I also have a company, TPCM, Thompson Performance Coaching and Mentoring. Something I set up over lockdown. Was bored. Well, I wasn't bored. I was definitely busy, but as everyone had all bright ideas during that period of time, kept myself busy. And yeah, I just help out coaches. Again, I've helped people abroad. Again, especially in the Caribbean, contact me, Zoom calls and stuff like that, and just working with people and helping them get better at their football, coaching, and giving them some tips and tricks where I can. And obviously, yeah, a proud family man, 3 children and a wife. So yeah, busy. But yeah, change the slide for us. Cheers. Black history. You know, what does that mean to me? And for me, it's just raising awareness. I came across this picture here on the left, the young girl and an older lady as well, and he just said, you know, if she can see it, she can be it. And I think for me that stems deeply inside me. And I think growing up, as I said before, you know, I lived in Epsom and went to school in that area, and I could count on my hand, or both hands, how many Black and Asian people in the school, and that's a secondary school, so that's a lot of kids. And so that experience alone was what it was. But history in the school, for me, was there was very much a lack of Black history. And actually, when I look back at my school grades and attitude and whatnot, it happened to be history was not my favourite subject, and I wasn't probably the best behaved in that lesson. I just think because nothing connected with me. I just nothing. There was just nothing there for me really. And it's not till you fast forward the years and media, social media, that you start to identify and see And things like Black History Month, where every minute you see a new person, like was once the first person to do this, the once the first black person to do this, and you think, wow, why didn't I get taught that? Back then, I could have probably been and done that. But I guess that's probably why I've got into football, and that's what's been my passion, because there were role models out there, and I could see them do it, and I wanted to try and be it. And that was a footballer at the time, but yeah, that didn't quite work out. But I think that was the whole point of me getting into football. So for me, it's very much Black History Month, and I like the month. I like it when people do bring up new people doing new things. I think it's important for everybody out there to see people that look like them, to hopefully then inspire them to whatever that might be. So there's on the right there some pictures, just some famous faces, I guess. Andy Cole, obviously got to meet him. What a legend. Obviously I'm a Man United fan, so that helps, and he definitely helped me become a Man United fan, that's for sure. But yeah, I met them, and then Denise Lewis again. What an athlete she was. Wow, a powerful woman, very successful what she done. So yeah, I went to obviously a Blacklist event. It's an event with guest list only sort of thing, but it's interesting because my first time I go in there, I thought it'd just literally be black people for some reason, and I've seen things out there in social media thinking that's what it is, but it's not. You go there, you're obviously celebrating black people that have gone and achieved things, but ultimately the room is obviously multicultural, and it was just fantastic, and everyone interacting, and it was just again good to see people achieving that look like you. And then just below that was an initiative, I think Snapchat and whoever, I can't remember their name now, who partnered up, and they done some sort of statues via Snapchat. You could scan it on your phone, and it tells you a bit of history about again the 4 key people there, Eartha Pons and John Barnes, Rachel Yankee, and Viv Anderson. And I think there's a big thing around not being enough statues in the country of successful black athletes and whatnot. So, but yeah, it was lovely to see again these stories about them. So for me, forever learning every time Black History comes around. It's a shame it's not over 12 months, but it is what it is. But it's 1 month, but it's it's good to see people achieving. Next slide. And then for me, just proud to be really. It's the theme. Just thought I'd chuck a few things on there. But ultimately, for me, the 3 key things are working in football full time. The journey along the way. Again, you look at role models, what they might have been. There was very few coaches in the early days when I started coaching. And then obviously went on to sort of management roles. There was definitely wasn't seeing no one in management roles. So for me, I'm very proud to be working the game full time first and foremost, but ultimately also be a role model for other people that might want to overcome any barriers that might be there. But ultimately you can make it, and you can get to whatever dream you want to be, which was for me was to be academy manager. And then that being said, one of 75 academy managers in the country. I mean, that number goes up and down. People moving on, clubs closing academies, starting academies. So it's a rough number, but ultimately, that's not a lot of people in these roles. So for a large amount of country of people, millions of people, I'm really proud to be one of those doing that. And also linked to that, statistically, I think, top of my head, I think there might be 4 that numbers of Black and Asian heritage as academy managers in the country. So again, proud to be doing that. And for me, a big one in football, it was changing maybe cultural in terms of what it's always been. So me championing a diverse multidisciplinary team. When I came in, there wasn't. I'll say that. Well, there was no females. Maybe I think just me actually as a black individual in the club, for whatever reason. But now, I can be proud to say that we have six female members of staff, 5 black members of staff working with us. And for me, it's just continuing to make sure our environment is diverse. And what comes with diversity is diversity of thinking, and all the experiences that people bring to the table to keep improving what we do. And because of that diverse team, you know, the success that we've made as an academy. You know, young boy on the left there, Felix Miles, Prince of the Year, well-rounded individual, good football on the pitch, but off the pitch, amazing. All those stuff I talked about working with him off the pitch, which is great. Again, in the middle there, some of the youth team players that graduated from us as an academy and went on to play for the first team and played an important part in role in them achieving promotion out of League One, out of League Two into League One, so which was nice. And then the young boy on the right become the youngest ever Cheltenham player. But yeah, so that is me. That's what I'm proud of, and I'm open to questions. I've done various roles, so there's a lot I could talk about. So yeah, feel free to fire away if you have anything.
Thanks so much, Antoine. Really appreciate that. I know Jacques has got a couple of questions that he'd like to ask you. Over to you, Jacques.
No problem.
Hi, Antoine. So one of the questions that we had sent in prior to the event tonight, which I think will be directed towards you. Did you feel you had to work harder to stand out as a young black player in comparison to your teammates?
So as a player, well, it didn't work out in the end, so that was tough. But yeah, I think alluding to that question as a player, I would say there was no issues there for me as a footballer, as in playing football and, you know, trying to achieve in something in the game and become professional. You know, there was no issues there. But I think as a academy manager on that journey, I very much knew I had to be better than the rest, if not, and put in more work than probably others might not do or whatever. You know, like I said to you, I came to the role as a volunteer. Didn't get paid. Happy to do that. It was just me wanting to learn and develop. And I think you have to do the hard yards sometimes to get where you want and where you want to get to. That's what I've done. That's what I was my upbringing. To very supportive parents who, you know, taught me that, you know, yes, I had to definitely put my shift in to maybe one day get what I wanted.
Thank you, Antoine. And the second question, what advice would you give to a young person wanting to pursue a career in football, whether that is going into coaching, going to being a player? But, you know, there's so many different aspects to the football industry. But what advice would you give to a young person? Yeah, for sure.
Again, just start at the base level, you know, but entry level, whatever that might be for you. That tends to be the grassroots for obvious reasons. But ultimately, it's to get in there and do the hours and do the coaching and get the experience is key, because along that journey, I've made loads of mistakes and I continue to make mistakes. You know, that's just all part of, you know, the working world and just developing and learning. But try and get mentors around you. I think that helps as well. I was lucky to have those again along my journey, very much supportive of myself and helped me to develop. And then ultimately, I think as well, have a long-term goal. It's probably the ultimate one. Like, you know, you say you want to get into coaching, but what is it you actually want to achieve in the coaching? Just so you've got some clarity there. Then along that way, you can then start to map out, you know, your medium to short-term goals, and then you can start to really sort of on the ground and work on the processes to get there. But for me, you got to have that insight in mind, because trust me, it's especially football coaching and coaching. There's a lot of people out there wanting to do the same thing, and you've got to be better than the other person. Again, depending on what your long-term goal is, but ultimately, you have to definitely put the work in to achieve that.
Thank you very much, Anton.
Thanks, Antoine. Has anyone else got any questions for Antoine before I thank him and we move on to our final guest? Okay.
I'll just say, boys, feel free.
Yes.
Feel free to chuck my email address out to anybody as well. No problem at all. Happy to talk. Happy to help. And hopefully we can find an environment for them to get involved.
Thanks again, Antoine. Really appreciate you sharing your journey with us, and we'll be in touch for sure. Thanks again.
No worries. No problem. Cheers.
Right.
Thank
Take
you.
care. All the best. Cheers. Right, I'm gonna hand over to our final guest of the evening now, Steve Smithies. So Steve was working for the FA when he kindly was involved in our first Black History Month event a year ago. Steve has now moved on to be Chief Executive of Cheshire FA and is going to share with us another part of his journey. All with you, Steve. Thanks again.
Thanks, Roger. I hope you can all hear me okay. A couple of apologies in advance. I'm having to do this on 4G and I'm having to do it on my phone because we haven't got Wi-Fi where I am. And I'm proud to say tonight I'm in Moss Side in the Academy School where I've earlier today, and I'm still in the middle of doing some talks on Black History Month. And there's some young players over from Fletcher Moss. Some of you may know that team where I think Marcus Rashford was for a while. They're just on a pitch over there. So apologies if it lags a bit. I may turn my my camera off, but otherwise I'll just keep going until Roger tells me it's not working. Okay. Listen, lovely to be here. Inspired by listening to Errol and Loz and Antoine. Really inspiring, and also inspiring to the people on the call and seeing the energy and enthusiasm from Suzette and energy and enthusiasm from Roger and Jax and the team. It's fantastic, and I'm very proud to be associated with Gloucestershire because when I broached with them and Keir Allen a while ago about doing some Black History Month events, they were so supportive and so embracing that it's really inspiring. So really pleased to be here tonight, share another little part of my journey. I'm just to start at the beginning. I'm proud to say I'm an archetypal grassroots coach. I got into football through Marcus, my son, who's now 25. I started off taking his team many years ago, and then decided to get a coaching award, which was then, showing my age now, was junior team manager. And then was just a really grassroots coach, really enjoying taking my son through his little bit of a coaching journey. We moved to a part of Cheshire I got relocated to work in Manchester, but I lived in Cheshire. We stayed in Cheshire, and I moved to a really good grassroots club called Nantwich Town, where Marcus started to flourish and enjoys football. I then had a son called Lucas. He's named after Lucas Radaby, by the way. I always tell people that because I can't believe my wife allowed me to name him after a footballer, but she did. And I'm very proud of him as well. So I took them both on this football journey at a grassroots club. And I started to really enjoy other aspects of the game and learning other things. I started to enjoy about things like pedagogy. I started to enjoy things a little bit around the science and the fitness and the diets. So I had this real interest. And I also had the interest in what about the local investment? What about the local community? How does the club function? So I took a real interest, and that took me into other areas like joining the board and helping the club fundraise. And at the same time, I was also really getting into my coaching, and then was fortunate enough to become a level 3 coach. And then work happened to change. I got an opportunity to become a consultant at work and maybe not work as full time, really. I started to pick and choose what days I worked. So I was very fortunate. And at the same time, I decided to do, I met a great guy about 10, 12 years ago called Graham Keeley, who worked at the FA. And he became a really big mentor and a big influence on me. And I'll talk about that in a bit more detail in a minute, because Graham was hugely influential on me and started to give me the right sort of advice. And that's really important. So my journey then took me, it's okay, Cliff. My journey then took me slightly differently, where I had now a little bit more time to commit to developing myself in football. And I'd also got a load of generic management skills, and I'd got, I had a bit of self-belief. But what I'd really got is this love of football, because when I was a kid, it wasn't great at school. I was a foster home kid, and I tell this because this context is important. And I didn't enjoy school, and I was the only black kid in school. So being in the football team and being okay at football was actually where I started to maybe have a bit of confidence and started to be able to develop some social skills. And it gave me a little bit of, I suppose it gave me a bit of self-belief, because, academically, I wasn't academically and socially, I wasn't in a great place, but sort of physically and from a sport perspective I was. So I had this real love of football, and I saw the power of it. So when I thought, well, hang on, you know, what can I do now to help other boys and girls from not just, if you like, my background, but how can I help boys and girls from all sorts of backgrounds? How can I help them? I took that opportunity with both hands. I then was really fortunate through to get into the FA mentoring program. That was 8-9 years ago, and I started to work part-time for the FA, and then I worked full-time at the FA, and that was a great move. And I was able to get lots of CPD and lots of contacts. I actually did my A license 4 or 5 years ago with Antoine, actually. And getting to tell you about his going into Burton in clubs. I'll get to tell you that another time. I was far too old for that, but he was able to do it. I just couldn't do it. I couldn't keep up with him. But what a great guy, and what a great coach. And he's raised his hand now, so I'm panicking in case he's got something on me from that course as well. But this thing about mentoring and allyship, that was something I started to take a real interest in, because we really need to help people through mentoring by giving them guidance, support, and by understanding the individual. But allyship is also important. How do we, and people had lent their power, lent their networks to me, and that had really helped my career, and it had really helped me. And so allyship is really important. And also having a willingness to volunteer, having a willingness to do things. And along this journey, I started to recognize that actually there weren't many Black and Asian coaches, and there weren't many Black and Asian coaches at the FA, and there weren't many Black and Asian people sort of making decisions. And I also recognized that perhaps weren't enough females making decisions. And if you go down the intersectionality piece, what about disability? What about LGBT communities? What about other people that perhaps have great voices, have great energy, and want to be part in football, but they're not necessarily in positions of where they can have influence? So I decided, look, you know, I'm really going to help. I'm going to really spend a lot of time and focus energy helping those people. And that's where people like Les Howie, that's where people like Graham Keeley, Butch Fazal, and examples of Gloucester FA embracing Black History Month. I think that is really important, because allyship comes from everybody. It's not, there's nothing better than a male allying and speaking up for female, and borrowing and using their voice to help them. There's nothing better than having a white ally. There's nothing better than us supporting communities that we don't necessarily belong to fully, but we want to be part of. And I was really passionate about that. And the county I lived in, I wanted to help the county FA as well. Cheshire is I think it's about 93% now, I think it is, would be classed as sort of white British, white English. It's not particularly diverse in terms of ethnic diversity, but it's got a lot of cognitive diversity. Obviously, people that think differently and people act differently. And so I felt supported by my county. So recently, when the chief exec's job, I was a board member on the board. I've got to say as well, that was some volunteering post, and I joined the board to help with their ED&I policy and their ED&I structure. And when the vacancy came up 5-6 months ago, I thought, look, I loved being at the FA. I found it really, really enjoyable working with brilliant people like Loz and being able to support people. And I see some fantastic people that I know on the call, like Naomi and Derek at Bristol Central. You know, it was a big move for me, because I knew what I was leaving behind. But I thought, what a great opportunity to lead a county FA and to help them continue to grow and develop, and perhaps for me to lend some of my skills and experience in helping them becoming even more diverse and getting more females into football, more disability pathway success. So really passionate about grassroots football, feeling very fortunate that I've had great allies and great mentors, and they've come from lots of different backgrounds, whether it be Rachel Pavlo, whether it be Graham Keeley, who's a white male, whether it be Butch Fazal, who's South Asian, whether it's taken inspiration from Antoine. It's about actually trusting the process and actually challenging in the right way, and really, really believing in yourself. And if people don't believe in you, then actually there's two things you can do. You can actually distance yourself from them, which is okay, by the way, or you can actually show them what you have to offer and what you bring to the party. The last thing I'm going to say about Black History Month is, what does it mean to me? I'll tell you what it means to me. It gives us an opportunity to shine a light on the Black community and the Black and Asian community and the mixed heritage community and all communities. It gives us an opportunity to shine a light and to talk about the successes that have gone on in the past. It gives us the opportunity. It gives us the opportunity to talk about what's actually going on now, because there's lots of good stuff going on now. We also can't be naive to think that there aren't some challenges ahead, and there aren't some challenges right now. We look at social media, that's a challenge. And what are we doing for the future? What are we going to do that helps the next generation of brilliant boys and girls from all backgrounds? What we're going to do to help them get into football, stay into football, and to really enjoy it, where it's a place free of discrimination, and it's a place for everybody. That's pretty much me done. If there's any questions, happy to take any questions.
Thanks very much, Steve. Inspirational once again. I'm going to give Antoine his chance to ask his question, as he had his hand up first. So, Antoine.
Yeah, there was no question. I was just winding him up. He's a top
That's
boy.
the brother I love. That's the brother I love.
Okay. Excellent. Okay, has anybody else got any questions for Steve? I think Jacques might have a question or two for you, Steve. Jacques?
Lovely.
Hi, Steve. Yeah, I've got a question here. That was what is the main challenge or you have faced or overcome in your career?
Oh, that's a great question, Jack. That's a great question. I'll tell you what, I'd probably say, if I'm absolutely honest with you, it was probably, like a lot of people, it was just a bit of self-doubt. Just not being 100% sure. And sometimes I think that self-doubt, it is real and it is present, and it is something that you need to face up and deal with. I think for me, Jack, it's having good people around me to help me get over that. But I think every day, some of us, all of us, I think sometimes we have self-doubt. Am I good enough? Am I doing enough? Do I know enough? And I think also, perhaps what we've seen today, listening to Errol, listening to Lars, and the brilliant Antoine, I think that also helps drive us forward, because sometimes you want to prove yourself and others that you can do it. But self-doubt, and I still have self-doubt. I just think I'm better at going to the right people and saying, look, I'm not sure, or I'm not 100% confident in this area, and just ask. And the vast majority of people, when you ask, they're really happy to help. And I think, again, it's about allyship. But having self-doubt isn't terrible, but it needs to be supported by good people.
Thank you there, Steve. I think that also answered my second question around, what advice you would give to someone, a young person, just asking for help and trusting yourself.
And trust it. Listen, believe in yourself and trust yourself. And also, where we can, Jack, get a mentor, and look, people like Antoine, people like Lars on the call, Roger, yourself, they are approachable. But sometimes what we've got to do, we've got to make it absolutely clear that we're approachable. And events like tonight, that really helps. We've got to make ourselves available and approachable. We've not got to just be role models. We've got to be real models. We've got to be there for people. But encourage people to reach out and to talk to people and get a mentor when they can.
Thank you, Steve.
Great answers again, Steve. Thanks very much for your time. Really appreciate it. Again, on the job, doing other events. Really appreciate it. Thanks, mate. We'll speak again soon. Cheers. Take care.
Thank you. Fantastic event.
Thanks, Steve.
Okay,
Thanks, Steve.
Okay. Well, we've come to the end of our speakers for this evening now. Obviously, if anyone has any further questions they want to ask myself, Jacques, Matt, Mo, anybody involved in the evening, then please feel free to ask us now. If you haven't got any questions that you wish to ask, then I'd really just like to thank everybody for their involvement in the evening. We really appreciate you taking the time and effort to join us. We hope you've enjoyed it, and you've taken something away from the evening. And as I mentioned at the start, we will be sharing the recording through our YouTube channel, and Jacques will be sending out stuff from the evening and clips which will be going on social media as well. And he'll also be following up what we've talked about tonight, the contact details and the links to some of our guest speakers and the work that they're doing on a white sheet that will be available to you all. What I would like to say is, again, please share what you've experienced tonight within your networks and your communities. As Mo mentioned at the start, this is something that we'd like to be a physical event if we're allowed to next year. I think it's been very successful in being an online event last year and now, but equally it'd be nice to actually meet and to talk to people in a physical environment, which hopefully we'll be able to do going forward. Enjoy the rest of Black History Month, but as Mo said, it's something that we should be celebrating throughout the year. And certainly, I think you've heard some inspirational speakers tonight share their journeys and the work that they're doing. So I thank them again.
Roger,
yeah.
can I just say that on behalf of the IG and the board, then, you know, thank you to you and Jacques, but also for the speakers for coming and making the event what it has been this evening. Again, you know, some really helpful, instructive, insightful things, but also inspirational in terms of what people are prepared to do and contribute to get the word out about this, not just being about this month, but being about every day, making a difference in the communities and to people.
Thank you very much, Suzette. Appreciate that comment, and again, thanks for your being involved from afar in North Yorkshire. So okay, okay. Thank you once again, everybody. Unless anyone's got any final points, we're gonna call a close of somebody's phone. And I think, Jack, were you sharing some contacts there? Yep. So please get in touch with the links and through our website and through our email address and our various social media contacts there. And as I say, we will be in touch with further information going forward. Thank you once again, everybody.